Hey everybody, this is Heather, your friendly instructor for Ath 111, coming to you not quite so live from out here in the Sonoran Desert in sunny Tucson. I'm making this recording because I know a lot of you are having a little trouble getting started with your rough draft assignment, and I wanted to just go over that paper tutorial that I posted a little earlier in the week. I had recommended that everyone start at the sample case studies that we read back in Module 2 from the MindEdge reading. So if you go into your Module 2, and scroll down to the 2.16 and 2.17 sections, you can see some sample case studies and get a good idea of what a case study really looks like from an anthropological perspective. From there, rather than jumping straight into watching your film and taking notes, I think that the best next step would be to review the rubric that goes with this assignment. So from the home page in your classroom, you can find this rubric from a number of different ways, but go into Learning Modules and scroll down to Module 5. And then find the assignment guidelines and rubric link and open up your Milestone 2 guidelines and rubric. Now you'll see that for the rough draft assignment, this rubric is pretty simple, not super detailed in terms of requirements except for these critical elements. So the first thing that you should do is make sure you have read through this rubric very, very carefully and make sure you understand what you're supposed to be looking for as you write your paper. From there, you get to do the fun part, which is go and watch your film. And you should be ready to take a lot of notes while you watch your film. You may want to pause and rewind and rewatch and take more notes. Really, when in doubt, write it down. You may need it, you may not, but if you've got the notes there, it will only help you when you go to write your paper. The next step after you've taken all these notes is to write your outline, and I recommend using this rubric document to actually make your outline. So here's a sample outline that I made. Say hypothetically I'm doing my paper on To Kill a Mockingbird because Harper Lee's been in the news a little bit lately. So I'm using the rubric to make the headings for my outline. First, you want your introduction. Your introduction needs to include that course connection thesis statement, which can be a standalone statement, here's what my paper's about. Or it could be a statement that you weave throughout the introduction, but in some way it needs to be very, very clear. Why are you writing this paper? That's your thesis statement. You can move on to a brief synopsis of your film. Tell me what the main events are that are important to your analysis, what's informing your analysis. You don't need to take up that much of your paper with your film synopsis. In fact, you want to leave yourself plenty of room to do the analysis. Don't take it all up with minor details from the film. Also in the introduction, you want to talk about the very specific cultural values and norms and theories that you'll be addressing in your paper. You can choose from anything that we've talked about in class so far or that we will be talking about over the remaining weeks of the class, things like religion, modernization and globalization, marriage and family structures, power and consumption, any of these things that we've talked about, as long as you can find some correlate within the film. Next, you'll move on to the body of your paper, which is where you'll use that thesis statement that you put into the introduction and talk about cultural change as it occurs throughout the film, focusing on 3 very distinct theories or themes. And when I say distinct, I mean that I, as the reader, need to be able to read through your paper and be able to count. Here's theory 1, here's theory 2, here's theory 3. So don't make me try to guess whether you have transitioned from one to the next. For each one of those themes, you're going to give me a brief explanation of what the theory or theme is, and that's a great place to incorporate lots of terminology from the course. So let me know that you're really doing the reading by using all the anthropological jargon that you've been learning over the last few weeks. You will support your points with examples from the film. You'll be sure to talk about cultural change and make as many course connections as you can, and you'll do that for each one of those 3 themes. After you've done that, you'll move on to your conclusion. Don't neglect to include this conclusion. That's the summary of your main points and also the takeaway lessons of the project as a whole. Why in the world did you do this project in the first place? What did you learn? And do me a favor and don't say, well, I didn't really learn anything, because that's not what any instructor wants to hear. The next step, and I think that this is a really important one, is now that you've written your outline and decided exactly how you're going to frame your paper, go back and rewatch your film again and flesh out your notes. There may be things that you completely missed the first time around, and now would be a great time to go back and add that information in. Once you've satisfied yourself that your notes are thorough, you will come back to your outline and start to actually write your paper. You fill in the information under each one of these headings. And I know that the directions say at least 2 full pages of text. Don't feel constrained by that. I can't imagine that you could really cover all of these points in just 2 pages. I mean, my outline is a full page. So you can go up to, I believe the instructions say up to 5 pages. If you go over that by a few pages, I won't dock any points for that. That's fine. I'm more concerned that your analysis is thorough and that you've covered all the bases and made lots of course connections. So formatting for your paper, use standard margins, 1-inch margins, use a normal size font, 12 point, and I'm not going to be making sure that you use the right font or anything like that, or measuring margins, unless it's really obvious that you've tried to make them huge. That is not ever a good idea. Get your paper written, make sure that you're including all of these critical elements, and most importantly, get it submitted. The rough draft, the point of this is to get my feedback on it so that you can make improvements and make elaborations for your final draft. So don't ever be so daunted by writing this final draft that you never turn it in. Just get something on paper and get it turned in to me. So that's your roadmap. I hope that everybody finds this useful. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me. I can't help you if I don't know that there's something you're having trouble with. So that's it for now. I'll see you in the discussion boards.